These guys probably can't even remember the last time they jumped, let alone played a sport. And at first I was like, wait a second. And I was like, no, that's totally fair.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dyster, and this week I'm joined by fellow Bafflegabbers Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
Ian Whittington.
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.
And Danae Hughes.
Still not fired.
We write for CinemaSins, TV Sins, and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Everybody's doing good. We've already been chatting, a lot of which you'll hear in the outtakes, and
will not be referenced here.
It will not be referenced here because we've got a show to
do. Ian literally referenced it earlier than I think it's ever been referenced.
That was, yeah, I think that broke a record.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Literally the only sooner is if I decided to reference the outtakes in the actual intro.
Like, welcome to police chat.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get into it. We'll kick it off with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, how we felt about the stuff we are sending in general. In CinemaSins this week, Uber Eats, Uber Don't Eats is the name of the commercial.
Oh my God.
Chris writing this one. This is an Atkinson script and is very funny, very hilarious.
This is one where when I was watching it, I want to talk about every single sin. It was so funny and ridiculous. Oh my God.
Well, go ahead. Start us off then, Danae.
Okay, well, let's start with the first sin then.
Let me read the script to you from the top.
So this commercial I hadn't seen before. Had you guys seen this one before?
No, but that's not a surprise.
It was during the Super Bowl. So
yeah, it's a recent one.
Okay. So in this one, the idea is that, Uber delivers more than just food. And the idea is that they're delivering a bag of product from the grocery store or wherever, and the people are confused and they're like eating things that they shouldn't be eating. And when I say people, I mean celebrities. And so it's just Chris questioning the reality of the situation in such clever ways. Mm-hmm. I think this might be my favorite commercial to date, because it was just so sassy and so in on itself. So I literally could just talk about the entire thing, but like the deodorant one killed me. So there's this moment where this woman is like, she's got her arm kind of up in the air, and the sin is, wait, how did this woman get a stick of deodorant, store it in her bathroom, raise her arm to apply it, and still get confused because she like goes to put it to her arm, and then she starts to lick it, and the sin goes on like, and on what I'm assuming is the day after she bought the deodorant, wouldn't she have taken the deodorant out of the bag and then tried to eat it right then? Just every single movement of every person in this reality. What a delight. This is a short sample, a quick sample of what it's like to write with Chris on a main channel.
Yeah.
There's just so much brilliance in there. And I also really like the hot dog one too.
Oh, yeah. That was so gross.
So
well, it looked like he was putting mayo on the hot dog, and just the idea of mayo on a hot dog is so nasty to me.
Or anything for that matter.
No,
mayonnaise
or anything.
Mayo. Yeah, get it on.
No, ham and cheese sandwich. No, mayo's good. I'm not putting it on a hot dog. Nope. Mustard and relish. That's all. That's it. Done.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind mayo as much, I guess. But so it's like, the person's putting it on as if it's ketchup, and it's like this person's putting sunscreen on a hot dog, and I'm wondering how he even knows the hot dog and the bun were food. Maybe this is Uber Eats making a subtle jab at hot dogs. You'll pay for this, Uber Eats. It's just funny. Just funny.
It's
stuff.
so good. It is. Yeah, it's very,
What about
very
you guys?
good.
What did you like?
I do have, I liked a lot of this video. I do have this weird thing with this whole concept, having seen this commercial now. Uber is a car service that then went into food service that is now going into delivery service, right? Like this.
Well, they've been delivering food, but you're talking about like delivering groceries and stuff.
Right. And so the whole point of this commercial is we don't just deliver food. I didn't know you primarily as a food service. Like the commercial to me would have been funnier if it was like they were trying to drive these things.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, Uber Uber is so. Anyways, that
Why
just
isn't this grocery bag taking me to the theater?
right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Anyhow, this kale, had to mention the kale. Absolutely hilarious stuff.
Oh, so good.
I just remember that day where I was actually in the grocery, oddly enough, shopping, and I was actually going to go because Chris just sent us all a message. Can somebody tell me what this is?
Yes.
Please
I
confirm
can't
for
think
me
of the word.
this.
And I was about to go to the produce section and find it, but then Jeremy said it was kale.
Yes, yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't know what Marvel movie she's in this scene. One of my favorite running gags. And then also, at least you finally got to eat your own va, Gwyneth. Really made me laugh too. Just absolute gold in this one. Jonathan, what about you?
It kills me that this is like they're acting like this is revolutionary, like they're the first people to ever do this. Like Instacart and DoorDash and stuff like that hasn't been around for like ever. But
Or
anyways,
Walmart.
Yes.
yeah, or Walmart, yeah.
Literally
Walmart
any
I think
grocery
uses
store.
Instacart. I think that's right. Like I don't know. When we order groceries, we usually do it through Instacart, and then the person goes and picks them up, and then they bring them to us. Apparently, according to our comment section, DoorDash does this as well. But whatever, Uber's trying to get the monopoly and stuff. I get it. I mean, they're Uber, right? But I thought the video was really funny. I like the fact that she blames the bag more than her actual desire to eat a diaper suggests that I could enter this dimension holding a bag from Joss A. Bank and steal millions of dollars without even asking.
His
and then,
mind.
Huh?
I'm so intimidated by Chris's
And it's
mind.
Joseph A. Bank. I don't know why I said Joss, but Gwyneth
that's what it
Paltrow
looks
doesn't know
like.
what Marvel movie she's in.
Yeah.
It does look like Joss A. Yeah, I didn't know they spelled it that way for the longest time. I assumed it was the full-on Joseph.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you remember when Saturday Night Live had that Joseph A. Bank commercial where you could buy suits to like wash your car or something? Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
They were making fun of the fact that they always had a sale. So it was like people were just going and buying like 80 suits and then they were using them for like cleaning around the house and stuff like that. Sorry to get us off.
No, that's
I mean,
what we do.
that sounded really weird. Sorry to get us off track.
Never apologize for getting us off.
Nope.
Never.
No, you'd be apologizing all the time.
Whoa. Yeah, you should definitely apologize. Speak for yourself, Aaron.
Ian, what about you?
Describing kale as one of the inedible items was great considering how many inedible items are in the video. And I just think that my favourite observation is the fact that there is an actual disclaimer saying, please do not eat these things. And that says more than like the parody of the advert itself. Like is that part of the joke? But you absolutely know they had to put it on there. Whereas, well, the advert told me to do it, so I did it, and now I have deodorant in my throat.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. You know, Tide Pod Challenge exists. So, there's...
Yeah, it does.
That's a literal thing that
I
happened.
saw like an article or poll or something came up on Twitter like the day after the Super Bowl, and they were asking like, what are your favorite commercials? That was high up there for people, and I was like, really? I was like, that's fine.
Apparently.
Nice.
Maybe I just don't get it. I don't know.
Well, let's move into TV sins. We did the pilot of Yellowjackets.
Did we though? I mean, if a tree falls in the forest and no one,
Nobody clicks on the link.
yeah,
Is it
did
actually
it really
sin?
fall?
But now it's an award-winning show. Do you think more people will be
Yes.
looking to watch it?
Critics' Choice awarded Melanie Lynskey of Yellowjackets.
I don't know. I just know that the re-release of the Billions pilot,
Yeah.
it's just doing better.
Yeah, Ted Lasso
might
has
be
won
an
lots and
evergreen.
lots of awards, and that one still didn't get clicks. We continue our journey to figure out which shows people on YouTube want to see sinned.
Yeah, a little
It is
behind
funny.
the scenes. This is why you're here.
That's why we
this
do
is
what we
why you
do.
listen
There
to
it
the
is.
show. We try to figure out what the fuck you want to see.
It's not the stuff that you're watching on TV, apparently.
It was still
Right.
very fun to work on.
It really was.
No, it sucks.
Yellowjackets was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, this was a Watkins Whittington script. So Jonathan and Ian wrote on this one. Ian, did you not enjoy it? Did
No,
you
I
not?
loved it. I was just being a douche.
Okay, you-
yeah, no, I
okay,
loved
all
it.
right,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
love this show so much.
Well, why don't you just talk about it a little bit then? The process was like,
Yeah, it's hard to not see it as a spiritual sequel to Lost. It even if it's not trying to be, it's got that vibe to it, and I feel like it's learning a lot of lessons from what Lost did, which was throw a ton of secrets at you, lots of cliffhangers, lots of must-watch next week, but then not always answers when you want them. The Yellowjacket seems to have this really nice balance of drip-feeding you mysteries, answering some things, but still leaving threads that keep you hooked in. I just think it's got that balance really, really, really well. And I love watching every single one of these people. The pairing between the 2000 and the 2022 adults and then the equivalent kids in 96 or whatever. is so great. It doesn't matter that they don't look like each other. The acting is so good. And I just can't stop watching Melanie Lynskey. And there is no bias there. It's not because we have met Melanie Lynskey. She's just great in this show.
We both had huge crushes on Melanie Lynskey before we met Melanie Lynskey.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So what was it from? Was it Yellowjackets? Was your first experience? Because
No,
I'm trying. She's been around since.
Yeah, she's been in
Heavenly
movies and
Creatures in '94 was the first time I ever saw her. That might have been her first movie.
I just think she's great. I just always enjoy watching her.
I didn't know if you were like 2.5 Men fans. I didn't know.
Really. She's not given a lot to do in 2.5 Men.
No, she was in, what was the name of that movie?
Well, she was on a really interesting show on HBO called Togetherness that only lasted a couple of seasons.
She was in a movie recently.
Yeah, there's like an End of the World movie or something.
It was Don't Look Up. She was the wife in Don't Look Up.
Well, she was in Don't Look Up, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something before that. Is the movie where I was like, you know what? Melanie Lynskey. Like,
No, she's great.
Yeah, she's incredible.
It's so good. I am interested in season 2, and I think this is one of those shows that will live and die by how 2, 3, and 4 progress and go on. But yeah, in terms of the sins, I love dinging soccer because I always will, and just hate it. Like, hey, you just pissed off all of Europe. Thank you from England. Yes, gladly taking stabs.
It's that
at
same
also,
thing.
it's a joke. I mean,
well, yeah, there is that, Jonathan. That's true. It is actually a joke. There is this thing that happens with the comments where people assume that somebody who wouldn't be connected. So, for instance, if something is taking women to task, it's usually Danae who wrote it.
Oh, of course.
It's one of those interesting things that it's just
you
like,
can't say that, you're a man. Well, writer.
Yeah.
I wrote that one though, didn't I? I think I did. I don't remember now.
We both
Maybe
had a soccer sim, but I specifically said that the score was too high and it was just unbelievable
That's
because
right.
6 points had been scored. And I was like, that never happens in football.
Yeah.
And dinging Lost in general was just irresistible. And just how, especially putting those words in Aaron's mouth, because I know he's a Lost finale defender. It's just a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, I have things to say in the comment section.
No, that's fair.
So-
That's fair. But I think my favourite individual one was it was the innocent narrator not realising that she was brushing her teeth for a different reason other than bad breath.
Yeah. There's a couple naive narrator sins in this that I really like, or at least this week.
I was happy that Ian wrote that. I couldn't think of it because I knew we had to tackle that, but it's like, I mean, even though those are adults playing, but they're still playing kids.
Yes. So the other one was the weed apple was the other naive narrator part that I thought was really, really great.
This is not how you eat an apple.
This isn't how you eat an apple. Yeah, that was amazing. All right, Jonathan, what about you?
I mean, I just second what Ian said about the show in general. I mean, I absolutely love it. I watched this the week I guess it premiered, and I was just like, oh my god, I can't wait till the next one. And I don't know. This is a really good season. This is up there with like, what was the Kate Winslet miniseries?
Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was like, that was probably like one I was like, this is one of my favorite like single seasons I've seen. But then Yellowjackets might even be better. I don't know. There's been Watchmen was really good, obviously. There's been a few of these like but this is actually going to continue. Well, I guess Watchmen did.
Yeah.
I'm really excited that, I mean, at least this is what they're saying, that this guy had a 5-year plan, or the creators had a 5-year plan. So I hope that's true.
Yeah.
And this is going to stay as interesting as it is, because it's definitely one of those shows that could very easily go off the rails. But at least for the first season, it did not, and I'm very intrigued to see where they're going. And it's one of those shows like we haven't had a show like this in a while, where we maybe Game of Thrones, but we haven't had a show in a while where we've been able to, like, you know, people are just talking about theories and, you know, things like that. Like, it just seems to be something everybody's getting into until, of course, you send it and then nobody clicks it. But that's fine.
We're not bitter.
In fact, the 10 people
We're
who
okay.
watched it, if you guys want to, you know, holler at me, I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Listen,
we could probably have a cheap dinner. I mean, there's only 10 of us, so, you know, we could go hang out. And
Sometimes there's a fan hive for a show that has a lot of buzz, but when you do it, you just get stung. You know, I mean, it just happens.
I regret everything I've ever done. Ian mentioned a bunch of stuff. I thought it was fun. I always enjoy posters because I find, well, first off, like, one thing I do enjoy about the show is that we are like firmly into 90s nostalgia now. Like, over the last like year, we've seen even in the Batman, you know, like the use of that Nirvana song and stuff like that. I mean, everything seems very much like people are referencing the 90s, and of course, when they're kids, this is set in the 90s. And so I always love posters, because she's got like that Reality Bites poster, which I mean, maybe now they're like, I'm not saying that was a bomb, but I don't know. I don't remember a lot of kids having Reality Bites posters like the year it came out, you know? It's kind of like in like 80s movie, like when you see something referencing the 80s, like Stranger Things, everybody's got the Thing poster. Nobody had a Thing poster in the early 80s. No, that movie didn't even exist to most people because that was a huge bomb. And but now it's a huge, you know, film for a lot of people. So your set decorators will be like, what's a great movie from this year? Let's throw the Thing up on. So I always enjoy.
That nostalgia thing isn't super surprising, though, because the people that grew up in the 90s are the people making shows now. So I think you see a natural curve of that happening.
I've had more than enough 80s nostalgia, so I'm all for us getting into the 90s finally. I also wanted to mention the Paloma Faye thing. That was funny.
Oh, I left a comment on that. I was like, how dare you, sir? How
I don't know.
you?
So here's the thing. I don't know who Paloma Faith is. Never heard of her. Have no clue who she is. The reason I said that was because they were playing all these songs from the 90s, and then on that one, they did a cover.
Yeah, it's a
so
weird
I thought
choice.
that was weird because that's a song that would have played around that time. Because it was a huge hit for NXS. And so I wrote that sin about that, and then Ian, because he's sensitive and doesn't seem to understand that we're supposed to send things.
No, I totally
got
missed
butthurt and was like, "How dare you, sir?"
I would not
like
have
he
this,
just said.
But
I'm like, dude, I don't even know who this is. I'm more than happy to listen to her at some point, but right now, like, I got to send, so that's what I'm doing.
It is. It's a fun video, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I also enjoyed the show quite a bit. You guys have hit that pretty well. I wanted to mention a couple sins that I thought were really funny or interesting to me. Saying online when you mean inline. Don't care if you were using that expression before the internet. The internet is here now, and that is where the term online should remain. I have had this conversation with people, and there are certain segments of the geography of people.
My wife uses online. It drives me crazy.
When you're in a line, they say you're online, and it always blows my mind. I'm like, what do you mean you're online? That doesn't make sense to me. You're in a line. You can't be. If you were on a line, you would be on top of the people. Like
exactly. It's like holding down the fort. It's like, no, it doesn't need holding down. You just hold the fort.
Right.
It's not going to flow away.
But my main thing is that's become a different term. So it's like, that doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Let it go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I found that interesting. On the always people being late, I envision a day where the English language has done away with hello and how are you and replaced them exclusively with I'm late or you're late in honor of all the TV shows and movies that think this is how every conversation must start. That's
true. How language works, isn't it? It's like, you're late. Mm-hmm. You're late.
Yeah. There's another great sin in another a movie coming up that has to do with that same thing. And then assisting someone with their oxygen mask before you have your own on. I just love the idea that if people are in crazy plane situation, they're going to actually be thinking about what
not a chance
that the people have told them to do.
I'm putting it on my daughter first. I mean, they can tell me all day that I need to put it on me first. I'm not going to think about that in the time frame. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. Danae, what about you?
I have nothing to add. That was a great conversation about a show I don't understand and haven't seen it, and I don't know what's going on. So
people flew somewhere.
A soccer team.
Some of them didn't fly back.
It's kind of like you remember the Andes? They made that movie Alive. Wasn't that the Andes? Was that where the soccer team crashed and ended up resorting to? I mean, this really happened. Like the actual story of those.
Are you referencing another movie to help Danae, who doesn't watch movies, understand this TV show?
It's a real life situation.
Real life situation that they made a movie about. But I mean, I think it's kind of playing off that a little bit. But then it's going in its own direction with like, and then it keeps flash forwarding to the future. We don't know who all's still alive. We don't know what all happened on the island. You know, that kind of thing. Or in the they're not really on an island, but in like the forest or whatever.
Well, if you think about it hard enough, we're all on an island. Every last one of us lives on an island. If you expand the geography. Okay, we'll move on. Let's go on to Book of Boba Fett, The Gathering Storm. This is a Cardoso Whittington script. Ian, you get to start us off.
This was my favorite episode of the series, which isn't saying much, and it's mostly for that last scene of the star killer, whatever it is, zapping all of the pew-pews at the people on the sand bikes.
Yes.
You're really selling me on this thing.
Yeah. Loads of exposition still. Had to sing these are the bantha remains from the bantha we see in episode 1, because we have literally been watching him walk through the desert for 1,000 years. But it was a lot of fun. This was with Daniel, and Daniel's script was hilarious, like just some super laugh out loud moments. So when the bantha just licks its lips and unwanted sexual advances, and you just can't rewatch that scene without thinking the bantha's trying to come onto Boba Fett. Go find other banthas, make baby banthas. Boba doesn't consist that a bantha might want to focus on their career. That's a beautiful.
It's my favorite sin. It was my favorite sin in the
Beautiful
video.
little observation.
Yeah.
I love it. It says so much. And for some reason, Chrysanthemum always reminds me of Worf from Star Trek. I think it's just the warrior demeanor. So slipping in a little Worf outtake of good tea, nice house, as Chrysanthemum leaves the bar was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Nice. Danae, what about you?
I don't like Boba Fett.
They should use that as the theme of the show from here on out.
I really do try. So I skipped this episode because I wasn't sinning it. And so when I was writing on scripts to follow, I didn't even watch the Sins video because you don't really have to watch anything to understand the next thing because it doesn't really matter anyway.
In this show, it doesn't seem like it sometimes.
Nope.
Not even the flashbacks to his past seem to, I don't know, there's so much disjointed about what we're watching, so it was really interesting because this is my first time to watch this episode. And I was like, oh, the bantha, I remember that guy. Oh, cute, they sat by a fire, I missed that. So for me, it was like catch up, and I forgot to pay attention to Sin, so then I had to watch it twice.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I didn't even know that Fennec didn't even know that she was like a cyborg. I didn't know.
Oh, they just found that out in
mention
this
it.
episode, right?
They never bring it up again.
Yeah.
No, I literally, that's never shown in any, this is the only time in the entire series, spoiler alert, that like you're aware that she has like been replaced.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That was a shock to me,
Yeah.
especially because you would think that they would like really talk about that a little bit more.
It's all of her
It's like
insides.
they felt the need they had to, because that's in the Mandalorian,
Correct.
right? Where
All
he
that's in
finds
the
her.
Mandalorian, yeah.
So they had
Yeah.
to figure out, I guess they had felt like they had to explain why she survived. But we
Right.
had gone like over a year not knowing that, and I didn't see anybody asking that question, so who
Yeah.
cares?
I guess I missed it in the Mandalorian too. Maybe
no,
I
everybody
didn't
did, because
watch
nobody
it.
cared.
Oh, okay. All right. I really liked, speaking of the bantha, I really did like the Mr. Snuffleupagus manages to chew his barbecue. I love that Star Wars does like puppetry and stuff. Like
Yeah.
the way that they create their creatures, there's something to really appreciate about actual moving puppetry, especially with new tech. You think about like Baby Yoda and stuff like that. Even though sometimes it looks really cheap, so does CGI sometimes as well, right? So anyhow, so that was really fun. Also, the show made me use the phrase straight to the back of the throat in reference. So that double punch of the Mr. Snuffleupagus sins, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I liked the sin off for the murder, followed by the sin back for murder. I completely missed that whole, like I said, the whole scene. I know we, spoiler alert, reference it later, but I didn't get to see it. So that was my first time actually watching like the whole revenge murder situation, and it did look really interesting. I would have sinned, I think if I wrote this in, I think I would have sinned that the Rancor somehow can jump up to the top of the grates and like stick its little claws in there, because that's a pretty deep pit.
Yeah,
Design,
no, you're right, actually.
You know,
Yeah.
like how did it get up there? So not only does the timing perfect, the sin works perfectly because it's a ridiculously timed, but also it's like a small Rancor. It's like a baby one essentially that hasn't grown up full, right? Like when they deliver it. Anyway,
so.
I would have probably tried to send that.
Also, if your Rancor can grab the grate at the top, you have poorly designed your
Yes.
Rancor pit.
Yes.
Like, that is
Your Rancor can probably escape.
Right? Right? Like it's like it just like goes over to the corner and grabs the stack of, you know, like haphazard boxes. It's just sort of there.
some phone books,
And it sort of
some
scoots
Tatooine
it
phone
over
books.
to the middle,
Yeah.
climbs up, and it's just like so. Anyway,
By the way, just in case I confuse you, Janae, we do not find out in The Mandalorian she has cybernetic parts. I was just referencing he finds her in the desert in The Mandalorian, but we don't see what happens after that, and then we just see him and her together. And
The
they meet
cyborg
up
thing
with-
isn't in the I thought we saw the
No.
cyborg thing in the Mandalorian.
Not unless it's in that very
this
last episode.
This is the thing that I think, and I don't even think the MCU does. Maybe they do more now than they used to, but I think I feel like everybody thinks they have to explain everything. And you really don't. Because then you end up with a show like this.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, like just let her be badass. Like referencing her backstory though is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like this is them kind of giving a wink and nod to something that's maybe in book material or something like that, where it's like, this is what happened. And so they're sort of showing it a little bit. So if you're reading and things like that, it's kind of like, oh, this is when you rescued her in the desert. And we're like, yeah, she should be dead. And then they go. And so like, I don't know, Boba Fett to me seems like showing things that it's an excuse to show more fan stuff than it is to really build out Boba's story.
My frustration is they do all of this awesome backstory work and do nothing with Fennec in the actual series. She's awesome, but completely wasted in the grand scheme of the series.
Well, she was used much better in Mando.
The guy whose name is in the title is completely wasted in the series. So, like, what do you expect?
She comes in clutch in the finale, though.
Yeah, she's kind of doing her own thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, if they're setting up something I might be interested in, it is the Fennec versus Boba kind of here's how you be a crime lord idea. And I think that's where they're trying to go. But man, the show was really, really messy and getting there. A little bit of backup in the chat to say that they do show the robotic stomach in Mandalorian. That last episode, yeah. So
they do?
Yeah. I think so. Again, it's just a few people in the chat and myself who seem to remember that. But whatever the case, they don't explain it. Like, it's never, and it doesn't have to be explained, as Jonathan said.
She survives this.
She survives this. That's all you need. So most of the ones I had down were mentioned. The Make Baby Banthas thing really slayed me, as previously mentioned. I did also like the show testing my ability to suspend disbelief on anyone seriously using the name Bib Fortuna. It's just so great. Really, really loved that.
I want to see at like a seafood restaurant. You know, they give the bibs and it just says Bib Fortuna.
Yes, in a fish restaurant.
Yes. Like a Star Wars themed seafood place. Go with me here. Why not do like a Star Wars theme where it's like the weird food place? So they have over your table, they have like the tube thing that like delivers the weird soup. So like if you get like a clam chowder, you like have it like like pour it out. Oh my god!
Shrimp.
How bad do you want to go to this restaurant? It's like, and then you if you're gonna get like lobster, they bring out your Bib Fortuna bib.
Yeah.
This is a great idea.
If you're excited about Star Wars themed restaurants, wait till you get to Disney. I haven't seen a seafood one though. They should put that in that $5,000 a night hotel they're building or whatever.
Do they have a Bib Fortuna at the Star Wars place?
I don't know. I didn't catch it. They could.
Be so funny.
No, that's our joke. Nobody else has ever made that joke. That's totally our joke.
If they do, sue when you get there. Be like, who was listening to BTS? Thank you, and I need my check.
That's right.
What it'll be is like what happened with Baby Yoda, where everyone started making their own merch, and then they realized that they had fucked up by not making their merch, and then they sued all of the creators. So, and then they started making their own worse merch.
Well, yeah, they made that first batch of Baby Yoda things quick because my daughter and I were there when they first released them. They looked terrible.
Yeah.
They're awful.
Oh, yeah. I think they've gotten better since because she has one now. But, well.
So now that there are four of us, I will just say I'm going to get confused every once in a while. Jonathan, have you gone yet on this one?
No, I don't. I mean, everything Danae said about the show, I agree. Everything Ian's been saying. I mean, Ian didn't talk to us, but Ian's been saying stuff in the past. Oh no, you said this was your favorite episode, didn't you?
Yeah, of a very bad batch of episodes.
Maybe it's my favorite that has Boba in it. Let's go that route.
Yeah, right.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As far as sins, a couple I think that weren't mentioned. Choosing Google Glass over Terminator Eyes was perfect. And does driving a car make me a cyborg? I need to know.
Yeah.
And
spoken by an actual cyborg who actually has machine parts.
That's true.
Inside
That's
me.
true.
So, yeah.
That's true. That 3 Days Grace song, I Am Machine, was written about Aaron.
It's true. Yeah. People don't know that.
Like 10 years before he got the part.
Yes.
But, they knew. They knew.
Let's move into CinemaSins. We'll kick it off with No Time to Die. This was an Atkinson-Watkins script. Chris and Jonathan writing on this one. Jonathan, how was your experience on this one?
it was interesting because Chris and I were definitely on the exact same page. Like this is a pretty good Bond movie, but the villain, the Rami Malek villain, just doesn't do anything for me. Like, and I know a lot of people love him, but I think when you have this series of Bond films, which is the first time they've really done this, where everything ties together, all the Craig films tie together, like they're trying to tell this story, and then just to have this villain that like doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't matter that Bond's after him, right? Like it just, I don't know, that's just a weird choice. It's a choice they made, and that's fine. And from what I can tell, most people think this movie's great. But that's the part for me. But I think everything else is pretty good about it. I love Daniel Craig. I think it's his best performance. We take a sin off for that. I think it's his best performance in a Bond film, even if it isn't his best Bond film. I think this also is interesting because I felt like this is a movie that kind of started this recent trend of we're not going to put the credits in until it's about 25 minutes or later. Like that just seems to be this like really weirdly common. I mean, and it's random stuff, right? It's like this, Drive My Car, that movie on Hulu. What is that? Fresh? It was like 33 minutes in or something.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense in Fresh, but it's
so
still
weird.
distracting as all hell.
Yeah. I think movies think they're doing like a beat drop,
like
they're
period. Yeah.
But it would be like watching an hour-long episode of a television show, and they had like a 30-minute opening, and then it goes like it's like a Law and Order episode. It's like 30 minutes, and then it goes to the Law and Order credits, and you're just like, what is going on?
Right.
I also we both wrote a bunch of stuff about that party scene because it made no sense. Like everything about that party scene where somehow like Blofeld can see them through that camera, but like how did that happen? And then also just the fact that like the movie both kind of seems to want to make Spectre wants to like kind of like what Ian was saying about Shang-Chi with Iron Man 3. Like the movie kind of both wants to say, no, Spectre's actually good and it fits. But then at the same time say fuck it because they kill like every Spectre agent in that scene. So it's like now Spectre doesn't
They're both
matter.
omnipotent and stupid.
And then it also really stood out to me for some reason that they gave the Rory Kinnear character Tanner like so much more to do than he's had to do in any of the movies. It's like some writer was like, you know what we haven't focused enough on? Tanner.
He had more screen time than Felix. It's so strange.
Love Rory Kinnear. He's a great actor. He's really, really cool dude. But like, I don't know. It was just weird. There was a lot of weird stuff in here. It wasn't hard to send. This was the most fun. Yeah. I mean, View to a Kill was really fun, but this was probably the second most fun I had sending a Bond movie. It's hard to beat View to a Kill, though. That's just like the gift that keeps on giving.
I thought No Time to Die was really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed some of the choices they made, specifically. And I feel weird saying this because it's such a huge spoiler, but I think if you're listening to this, you already know, we're talking about a video that spoils movies. We're going to spoil movies, too. But the choice literally to kill James Bond at the end of this movie is bold, and I think done well and emotional and evocative and interesting. It does remind me of one of my favorite sins in the video. That is, those other Bonds were all losers. They're all probably still living and stuff. So funny. This chump's still alive.
It doesn't get more crisp than that, by the way.
Yeah, so good, so good. The Storage Wars, James Bond Storage Wars sin.
That was so funny.
He likes his junk shaken, not stirred. Feel free to take that however you want. Again, the lateness thing comes up, right? I'm sure James's tardiness will cast a pall over the next several scenes.
Yeah.
It's such a perfect way to phrase that because it just completely points out how pointless that whole you're late thing is. And it's in so many things. And it's just this stupid tactic to build earned tension.
Or
right?
just a conversation starter because we don't, saying hello is boring.
It builds this weird little tension thing between, this new relationship that we're meeting or whatever. That. And then where's James Bond? I don't know, probably somewhere putting a dent in his shorts.
Oh my God. Did you see the comments on that one? I have that one written down too. Okay. Not the comments, sorry. On the script. So, the lead-in is where's 007, then it goes into the sin. I don't know, likely someone putting a dent in his shorts. And then it gives a little bit of editor instruction, like,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it says specifically, no arrow needed. But then, in the next column for, like, how we take our sins and write them out, it says, Let's just say we can see a protrusion. Just clearly line it out there.
Yeah.
You can see James's Bond.
And let's just go ahead and say this now, because we already had a walking sin in Boba, and then there's the walking excitement in this video and the next video.
Yeah.
It's so great.
I send a
It's
lot
like
of
the new
walking
thing.
this week is what
2021 is the year of walking.
Well, and again, these were written in completely different time frames, completely different
Months
schedules, and they
apart.
just happen to come out the
ridiculous.
same week.
Once again, movies are way too long now. Like,
Yes.
like we need to cut out some of this. The walking would be a great start. Just we don't need that.
Yeah.
We literally have gone from like now we're watching movie length TV shows, and then our movies are like 2 movies length.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how do we shorten this shit.
Yes.
90-minute limit on everything.
Oh, you like
regardless.
105. I'm okay with like hour 45. That's fine. That's fine. No,
make it-
I mean
let's just make it 60,
certain
Including
things.
credits.
Yeah.
All right, Ian, what about you?
I'm going to say something bold. I think we like this movie. I particularly liked this movie because it wasn't bad. Like I'm really relieved that this was.
Well, especially after the ones we had to send, because those were like some of the worst.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. But I think in particular, it was a very safe bet to send Craig off in this way. So there wasn't killing him off may seem like a big swing, but it's kind of in this day and age of more gritty realism. You need to bookend Craig's story somehow, and the only way to be sure they don't come back is to kill them. And yes, we don't see a body, but he died. He definitely died.
The movie makes it very clear
It's
he died.
very
yeah.
clear.
The movie
There's no
intention of coming
doesn't,
back.
and I think we send this. The movie doesn't make it extremely clear why he had to die. Like that whole virus thing is dumb. Like, and it's rightfully sinned in the script.
Absolutely. But I just think this was a very safe exit, and it did some bits of fan service. It did a great adventure. It didn't try to do anything too outrageous. And I think I was just, it was like a sigh of relief at the end when I was like, oh, it didn't suck. Good. I'm so glad this wasn't Spectre. It wasn't Quantum of Solace. It was just a solid Bond adventure. It probably is. I still think Casino Royale is the best Craig that we've seen.
I forgot Craig did a Casino Royale. I thought you were about to talking about like that David Niven one. I was like, wait, what? Hold on.
No one's talking about that ever.
Hot take.
Nope. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Casino Royale will always be the one that I go back to. That's for me the definitive Daniel Craig one.
I think that's the best Craig one too. I like it better than Skyfall.
So. And just Ana de Armas was incredibly, like so many powerful female characters in this film. All of them essentially wasted. I get it, it's Bond's film, but she could have been even better. Like, I was ready for her to be the next James Bond. She is fantastic. The way she moves in this film and the way she puts Bond down as well, just like, no, I don't want to have sex with you. Like, that's not on the cards at all. Just so much fun. Really, really, really fun. My biggest sigh was the 007 thing, because it was like, the title doesn't matter until we say it matters in the finale, and it's going to be this big moment. It undercut itself quite a lot. But all the sins I loved have been mentioned. Loved.
Speaking of Ana de Armas and Daniel Craig, there had to be a Knives Out. In fact, there were 2 Knives Out
it was
outtakes.
gorgeous.
And that
So
second,
good.
that donut hole one was so perfect.
So great.
Where he's explaining the donut hole to Blofeld.
Yes.
It's just so well done. Loved that. Danae, what about you?
I don't know Bond. Bond doesn't know me. So
He doesn't
I
know me
watched
either.
this.
There has been no bonding.
No
bonding
No.
happening.
Little
I've never
bonding.
really been a Bond in person, but then again, I don't usually like enjoy this kind of a movie. I don't even know that I enjoyed the Bourne movies. They were interesting to watch because of the way that they were different than anything I had watched before, because they cut the music out and there was just these intense fight scenes and stuff like that. So I was like, whoa, that is evoking emotion. But I've never been a Bond person where like the spy stuff. I guess Mission Impossible maybe a little bit. I don't know. So yeah, watching this kind of stuff is just not something that I'm used to really getting into and enjoying. But of course, The Sins is a different story. So I was enjoying what you guys put on display for me to watch. I would like to find my notes, but can't find them. I have found them. Oh, in fact, I liked the is this the end of the Bourne Identity, like that. I understood that reference which rarely happens. So I was like, oh, I get that one. All I'm saying is if it takes longer than 2 minutes to deliver a criminal using a hybrid phone booth / ski lift thing, then maybe you should upgrade your equipment and protocols. That whole scene, just the setting of like the delivery of just how long it was taking, the reference to, was it Silence of the Lambs? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, with the entry for Blofeld, yeah.
Sometimes it's supposed to look really intense and feel really intense, and it's just like, wow. And you just like are checking your watch the whole time.
Oh, that's like you could make so many jokes about that scene. That scene's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I think one of my favorites, there's a lot of really good shit in this one, but I think one of my favorites was like, oh no, not 3 grenades. Why didn't these assholes do that before? It was really funny.
Seriously, like what are they doing? They're just taunting him. Like, we'll throw 1 down, see if that works.
Yeah.
No, let's throw 3 now. It's amazing.
Oh, man.
Amazing. All right, let's move into the Forever Purge. Watkins Whittington writing on this one. Jonathan and Ian having some fun with this. Ian, why don't you kick us off on this? What are your thoughts on the Forever Purge?
This was Ian's favorite movie. I can already speak for him. He loved it.
Yeah, you can. That's fine. We'll just go straight to Jonathan. He knows my thoughts. I loved it. No. This is another Scream situation where I've seen bits of the first Purge. Sorry, dang it. And this is my biggest frustration with the series. You can't say the first Purge anymore because that is a film that exists.
Oh, yeah,
the first
that's a good point.
Purge movie that came out with Ethan Hawke. I've seen bits of it and it's perfectly fine. I'll watch Home Alone next time. But the rest of them I haven't seen. So to come straight in at the end with the Forever Purge, I had no context other than the Sins videos, which gave me enough. And just from the Sins videos, it feels like every single movie is the same dumb reasons. Like, why are we locking up at the very last minute? Just take some holiday time and lock yourself down the day before and the day after the Purge, just to be safe. And the fact that this is the first time that people have purged outside the Purge, and some rules still make sense. Like, there are certain guns you can use, even though there are no laws. So can you just use everything? And who's policing this? It's a really fun concept. I'm not convinced they fully developed on it or fully delivered on the concept. But I think my biggest problem with, I don't know who the protagonist is meant to be. Like, there's obviously there's the family that we're following, and they're definitely the more sympathetic of them. But our main man, what's his name, Jonathan? The lead. I know you'll have it.
Who, the actor?
Yeah.
I would have if you hadn't asked me, but now I can't.
That's good.
I'll look it up though. You keep
him.
going.
Anyway, the main guy, I just feel like the point that they were trying to make, that he says, I'm not racist, but I just think your people should be with your people, my people should be with my people. That's coming out of the words of our protagonist, which just makes me think, is that a genuine point that you're trying to make that has some like some substance to it? And I'm like, no, that is a slippery slope. That is still a horrible, horrible sentiment. And I just don't know. It's just one of those moments where I want to talk to the writers and be like, do you know what you were saying there? What was the point you were trying to make?
It's Josh Lucas.
Josh Lucas,
no,
yeah.
That scene confuses me because I think that's supposed to be his feeling then, but then by the end, we're supposed to realize that he's done a 180.
I hope that's what it is.
No, I think that's absolutely what it is. It's just poorly written. I think that's what it comes down to. It's just poorly written.
It comes at an odd point in the film where he's kind of the savior.
Yes.
So we're kind of tuned in to listen to what he has to say. But it does end with a beautiful irony that the purgers, who a good chunk of them are going after immigrants, have forced millions of Americans to become immigrants in a different country. So it is a beautiful little hook.
Yeah. If it was a good movie, that would be an amazing scene.
Exactly. It just belongs in a different movie. Yes. And I think that sums it. The Saw films know what they are. The Purge films, I don't think they really know what they are and what point they're trying to make sometimes. They want to play in this horrible playground, but also make some big societal proclamation about why we are terrible.
Yeah. Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what he said. This is not a good movie. I think there's things in the first 4 Purge movies that are fine. Like, I think there's moments in those that I can take away at least something, and there might be a couple that are kind of good overall. The show was kind of interesting too, but this one's just bad all the way through. It really never finds a way to be both things that it wants to be. It wants to be an exploitation movie at times, and then it wants to be like this movie that's teaching us, why we're, about immigration and relations with within ethnicities and stuff like that. Ian mentioned most of the stuff I was talking about. I was going to say about what we send. I did enjoy too, though. We talked about, because this is kind of one of those things where you just take a stab in the dark, and I'm sure there's people that disagree. But the idea that militia could be formed like so quickly
and overpower the National Guard is baffling.
Yeah, even in the world today where people are scared about stuff like that. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that would be something that would be able just to pop up, because you would think they would have stuff where, after the purge, they're ready to go, because she's killed that guy that's trying to kill her. The police are right there, and they're like, you can't do this, and they throw her in the van. So you would assume that's kind of what's going on around the country. So the fact that these people could somehow communicate through, I don't know, carrier pigeons, I have no idea what they're doing.
Who knows,
and then just form this thing, that just seemed kind of annoying to me. So we tackled that pretty hard. But it's a bad movie, and it deserved everything it got.
Danae, what about you? What are your thoughts on the Forever Purge?
It's your second favorite, I believe.
That's my thought.
There you go. You know what that sounded like? Like a bantha.
Oh, no, it did not. Like a bantha.
I could be a wonderful asset on the creation of a movie just by making noises that could be turned into horrible things.
That's how you direct people. If it's great, you're like, huh. If it's bad, do better.
Yeah. This is maybe think of something completely unrelated that I find interesting. So since the talking about Forever Purge and Bond and all this stuff is like, I don't know what to say about this shit. I'll say this. I find the sound creation of shows to be really fascinating, because sometimes they'll go like behind the scenes and they'll explain how they came up with the noise that like a monster makes or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we mixed the squeal of a pig with the roar of an alligator and a little sprinkle of a monkey, and that's why it sounds terrifying. I could help with that. I could just create sounds that they could then use however they see fit. It'd be wonderful.
You'd be like Hitchcock's person that's like stabbing all the fruits to see which one's
full
soundest.
artist.
To make a squishy noise.
Yeah, that's me. I just go quick, quick, quick.
My favourite example of that is how they got the TARDIS takeoff noise. They said, yeah, we just ripped open a piano, got a sheet of metal and ripped the guts out. And that's how we got the... Why did you think of that for your spaceship takeoff noise?
It's amazing.
It's great.
I love that
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah.
I have never watched one of these movies before, so but I get the concept. I love that you guys are breaking it down. That sounds really cool. Great job.
That's what we do.
Successfully subduing a substantial stallion by simply singing a softly spoken Spanish serenade was great. Congratulations, whoever made the S's work so well. I like that we have a TV Sins one in here with the "We've got rope, we've got no rope," like crossover. Not that anybody knows that, but like we know that. So that was really fun, because that's TV Sins stuff right there.
Yeah.
We're gonna take over somehow someday.
Yeah, and Ian and I just steal. That's all we do. We just take from
That's right.
TV sets.
Yeah, with Yellowjackets is how we're going to steal.
I like the porkmanity of it all as well.
Yes, that was one of my favorites. Oh, the porkmanity of it all. I've seen a few of the Purge movies. I have not seen this one. And after watching this, I think I have seen this one.
Yeah, good.
I do find the thematic stuff a little bit interesting, like you mentioned. And if it were a better movie, maybe I would take some time to watch it, but I'm not going to.
Nope.
Nothing gets me hornier than blind patriotism and childbirth. Such a good sin. So great. I also loved Sudden Coco. Of course, I'm going to mention that. And when after Dracula says Dracula in the movie that's on the TV. Oh my
goodness!
Just saying, don't say you don't get your subscriptions worth out of us.
It was. I forgot to mention that. It was one of my favorite things. Getting to sin a movie inside another movie that wasn't shoehorned, because it's Bram Stoker's Dracula. They say Dracula. I was like, yeah, I can ding that.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. It's always fun when you get to put a little bit of a spin on that one. So, yeah, well done. Had a lot of fun watching the video for the Forever Purge. And I will say, you're absolutely right. As a parent, to think that the Purge would ever work, this is not a parent who came up with this idea. Every parent who's been like, okay, you can eat all the candy you want for half an hour and then no more candy, understands at the end of half an hour, they still want more. It does not get it out of their system. Like every parent knows this does not work.
Yeah, that's when the wagering comes in. Like, well, what if I only did this? And
Mm-hmm.
From
Yeah,
the kid's
exactly.
perspective, I mean.
The negotiation.
Negotiation,
Yes.
that's the word I couldn't think of. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fine because I feel like one of the things I'm doing with my kid is like if I think about how I'm fucking her up, one of the many ways in which I am fucking my kid up is that I really encourage her to negotiate because I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
It's my kids.
try to convince me. Like, do it. I'm
Please.
excited about this conversation.
Every time my kids try to negotiate with my wife, she hates me. She's just like, this is your fault. You have taught them to debate everything. Sorry.
Oh, man. Like sometimes I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say no. I'm your parent and I have that right. And if she comes at me, I'm like, man, your mind is amazing. Like it's a palace of thought and you're only 5. This is incredible. Yes, let's sit down and chat about it.
Yeah.
But still, no.
And my parents are like, what happens to no means no?
Yeah, because
I'm your
I
parent.
said so. Why did we stop
What
saying
happened to
because I
that?
said so? Why? All right. Let's move into the comments section.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're each going to pick a comment from the week's content from the various places that you reach out to us, maybe Discord, YouTube, Reddit, etc. I already kind of mentioned that I wanted to talk about Lost a little bit. There were several comments mentioning coming to the defense of the finale and saying they weren't in limbo all along. They were just in limbo for the final
Why
season.
did you say it, Aaron? Then why did you say it? If it's not true, why did you say it?
I just want to say, for the record, anytime I get accused of changing things so that they're on my own thoughts, I'm coming back to this sin. Because, man, it was, I had, getting those words out of my mouth was so difficult. But no, it was fun to see people come to the defense of Lost in the comments. And yes, I still think most people are probably disappointed with the final, at least the final episode and probably the final season of Lost. I am not one of them. I thought it was brilliant.
I'm not really either. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know
I think some people are coming around. I think some people are revisiting and kind of understanding more what they were intending to do. Once you're kind of outside of that, oh, you've asked so many questions, give me all the answers, and that whole disappointment of not getting the exact answers you were looking for or thought you might get, then I think, you can kind of look into the more of the subtle stuff that they're doing in the show. So that's fine. Danae, what about you?
I went to an episode, the Yellowjackets episode from my comment this week. This one's from Winnie Frolic, who says, "God damn it. Now I'm obsessively checking the site for Yellowjacket episode 2 sins." And to that I say, oh shit.
You may
Thank
be
you for
waiting a while.
obsessively checking. We appreciate you refreshing. We hope you watch everything we put out in between now and episode 2.
What you'll need to do is call about 200,000 of your closest friends.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love it though.
no.
Yeah, do it, man. That's if you do that, I mean, if you get it up to that, we'll do another one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Winnie, rally. Come on, Winnie, you got this.
Jonathan, what about you?
Well, I just thought this was interesting. Also, mine are from Yellowjackets too. Mitch N said, "I'm so glad you guys are sending the show. The first season is so awesome." And Mitchell and Webb in the outtakes, I thought I was the only American who knows about that show. Well, you might be because the British person.
I know as well. I was like, you might still be the only American because that came from England.
And then Ian mentioned Unicorn Sprinkle said, "Not even a real sport at soccer. You just pissed off all of Europe." But what I thought was funny was there was a couple of responses to that. And one was, "I wouldn't take it personally. These guys probably can't even remember the last time they jumped, let alone played a sport." And at first I was like, wait a second. And then I was like, no, that's totally fair.
I play poker all the time. What are you talking about? Play sports? Yeah, people will be surprised to find out that this nerd was actually a jock in high school as part of his
Yeah, me
past,
too.
so.
People find out I played baseball for like 15 years. They're like, what?
Yeah. I thought we were talking about sports. Baseball slam. All right. It's a rather grand slam, if you ask me.
I don't know what any of you people are saying. I understand none of this.
Basketball is
Ian.
not in the cards.
What is your comment?
This was from Yellowjackets as well, and it was the narrator understanding that they keep getting shamed for playing Venga Boys Boom 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 in their head, and then the next bit was also "You're welcome." And I didn't elaborate any further, and I just wanted one person in the comments to have that stuck in their head, and I got 2.
Nice.
I got 2
Well
people.
done.
They're like, "Yay! I had that stuck in my head. Damn you!"
Nicely done. You got to love it when you put it out there and the universe delivers it back. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right, let's move into nitpicking, the nitpickers of the nitpickers.
But we wouldn't want to nitpick, right, Danny?
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more. Actually.
Oops. What do you mean, oops?
Missed it by that much.
Am I just going to nitpick everyone until they leave me?
Ian takes a look at some actuallys from the comments, and we decide together if the commenter was green, yellow, or red. What do you got for us this week, Ian?
I want to get a couple out the way that will get moaned at for not doing that are definitely greens. Whatever, I screwed it up. I don't like Star Wars. There's all three of these are from Boba, and I screwed the pooch on this. So the droid that gets blown up in the middle of the firefight is some kind of gonk droid, and apparently they exclusively carry fuel. Apparently this my favourite part of this defense was that it is so dumb that it would just randomly walk into firefights. Okay, great. I'm still sinning the fact that it's there in the firefight. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, no, I think that can be at least yellow, if not red. Only because
why would you create that kind of droid?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, fine. It actually exists in canon, but why does it exist in canon? It shouldn't exist in canon.
And how convenient is it that it's there when it needs to be canoned?
Right.
But the other one, so Boba's ship, I ding Disney for the design of Boba's ship. Actually, it was designed by Lucas. We should have dinged Lucas.
Right.
Retroactively add us into the video. Fine. Disney and Lucas
Disney owns it, so whatever.
Yeah.
But they didn't design it. So I guess I'm now sinning Disney for something they didn't do, which is probably even better.
Right. Yes. Actually, when it comes right down to it.
Yeah. Max Rebo. Sorry, I didn't know who the heck Max Rebo was. I got destroyed for sinning an alien called Max, which I think is perfectly fair.
I think that's a fine sin.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
Just because I don't know who Rebo is, I still don't care.
This would be like us giving
it's fine.
people like people that don't watch a lot of Star Trek shit for not knowing like who Gul Dukat is or something. Like who?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. Gul Dukat, right? Yeah, totally.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know if that's one word or two words, do you?
That's what I'm saying.
It's just what rich people sleep on is a golden cot.
Get out. Okay, so I have got one that is up for debate.
All right.
And this is from No Time to Die, and we dinged the fact that Safin shot all of those bullets at Madeline when she was under the ice, and none of them hit her. Now, an argument in the comments was that it was deliberate, and he wasn't trying to shoot her; he was trying to free her from the ice.
I think the sin is written that way, actually, because maybe it was at one point, but it was more just like he doesn't accidentally hit her. I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the way the sin presents it is more that one of these bullets should have killed her, and I think that's where I would land on it. Even if he was trying to free her, that's an extremely dangerous way to do it.
Yes. You should break the ice kind of in front of her or something, so then she can, swim and pop up. But he's aiming at her.
I thought we were going to talk about the Mythbusters disproving that people would get hurt from bullets through water.
Yeah.
So the nitpick would then be that she, even if a bullet had hit her, it wasn't going to really hurt her that much.
Because it slows down the velocity.
Yeah, because it slows down the velocity so quickly.
Oh, well, then, we're idiots. All right, cool.
So it's more like a massage, just like a nice little deep tissue massage.
Yeah, in fact, that's a real, I almost said delicacy, but that's a food thing. It's a real famous thing in the Nordic countries is bullet massage.
Bullet massage under
it's a specialty.
I wrote that, so but Chris approved it, so I'm going to blame him.
And their specialty is the delicacy.
Yes, exactly. Yes, got
it. Sorry. There's just one more from Bond, and we seen the motorbike scene where Bond is flying up the steps and then into the middle of all of the people, and a couple of people said, no, that was actually practical effects. They just CGI'd the stairs onto the landscape. Then it wasn't entirely practical, was it? You had to CGI the landscape in.
Yeah.
It's still ding-worthy because it's still a needlessly reckless approach.
No, I'd give that a red. I'd definitely give that a red. I think that stands
That's
very
some fun
well.
stuff in there.
Yeah, I'll give you the ice. I'm not giving you that one.
No, that's fair.
All right, time for a new segment. Let's move into the Sinpository.
What?
History became legend.
The past is past.
Let's look at some statistics.
To the library!
Careful, Chief. You dig up the past, all you get is dirty.
We insert ourselves deeply into the cavernous sins repository, or Sinpository, if you will, as Jonathan probes the annals of sin history for a video we can reassess in both individual parts and the whole. All right, on to...
Wait!
I didn't
Hold on.
Oh, man.
We talked about this, and you went back and added so much.
There was so much more to that. Oh, wow.
Jeez.
That last line.
Yes, Jonathan, take us into the back end of the Sins archive.
So we have a weekly newsletter, which you can, I believe, I don't want to say this wrong, you can sign up for this on the website, right? On cinemasins.com.
Mm-hmm.
And in each week's newsletter, they have basically like a pull of, like a from the vault kind of selection.
Yeah.
And they pick a movie from the vault. So this past week's, and then when we do this segment, that's the movie we're going to be discussing.
Yeah. So if you get the newsletter and we do this segment on BTS that week, you can play along too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this week was the Fast and the Furious, the original. So see, I put a "the" at the beginning, so you know it's the original because there is a Fast and Furious. Because I hate these titles so much. But the Fast and the Furious. So just a quick background on that. This was released. The movie. I'll talk about the movie first. The movie was released in 2001. It was directed by Rob Cohen. I did a little background on him. I didn't realize I knew him as a director, but I didn't know him as a producer. He was a pretty big producer. He did The Running Man, which is of Eastwick, The Wiz, The Monster Squad, Serpent and the Rainbow, did a bunch of stuff like that. But then he's been directing for quite a while. He actually did a couple of movies in the early 80s. This is the only Fast and the Furious film he has directed. They eventually, I guess Justin Lin has done probably the majority of them at this point. He is still around, though. He did the Hurricane Heist in 2018, which was just, phenomenal for those that saw that, let me tell you. This obviously stars the late Paul Walker, R.I.P., and Vin Diesel. Neither one of them had done a ton before this, but Vin Diesel obviously had done The Iron Giant, Saving Private Ryan, Boiler Room, and Pitch Black. Paul Walker was probably most known for She's All That or maybe Varsity Blues. So they come into this. This ends up being like, and then of course the rest of the cast, you got Jordana Brewster, Michelle Rodriguez, Ted Levine's in this, which I had completely forgotten about, Ja Rule. And then this movie ended up being a surprise hit. I didn't realize it actually did this well. I thought these movies really started, kicking in like after they did the next one, but this one actually made $144 million.
Well, this came out when I was in high school, and I remember it doing... just being the thing that everyone was talking about.
Yeah, it did really well. It was actually number 12 at the box office. I didn't realize it was that high that year either. Of course, now a lot of the times they finish in the top 10, but I do have the top 10 box office from 2001. If you guys want to play a guessing game.
2001.
I'm terrible. I am so terrible at knowing what movies came out what year.
How about this? If somebody in the chat has a guess, we can say what their guesses are because I will be terrible at this too.
I will say, I think Danae, you might actually do pretty well here. Well, I will say this, that like this was interesting to me because, I mean, people talk about like back in the day, it wasn't like all IP and stuff. Well, it was in 2001 because there's only one movie in the top 10 that either wasn't from IP or didn't start an IP.
Attack of the Clones? Was that 2001?
No, that was 2002.
Oh, but I bet Lord of the Rings has to be in there.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, I was going to say, so Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring was number 10, which I thought was interesting because I thought it would have been, I thought it made more money than that. It made $163 million. It didn't do bad. That's number 10. That was the one I was going to, my hint for number 10 was that this is the one Danae has seen probably more than any of us.
Nice.
Forrest Gump.
Shrek was number 2. Shrek was number 2 with $267 million. So number 9 was a sequel to a Best Picture winner from the 90s.
Godfather 2.
A sequel to a Best Picture winner from the 90s?
I totally forgot this movie was that big of a hit, too. Yeah.
Wow, no idea.
I think there might only be one Best Picture winner from the 90s that had a sequel, too, now that I think about it. So this...
Something about Harry Potter. I'm reading the chat, by the way.
Harry Potter was number 1. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was number 1. It was $288 million. It's interesting to see how, because that seems so low now, because it's like domestic number ones. Well, maybe not with the pandemic, until Spider-Man. But like there for a while, domestic number ones were like 400, 500 million.
Something X-Men also in the chat.
No, there were no X-Men released that year.
Fantastic Four.
Nope. Fantastic Four, I don't think it was that big of a hit. Well, I guess it was. I don't know. Hannibal was number 9. It was the sequel to Silence of the Lambs. It made 165 million. I also didn't realize this movie was that. I didn't remember this movie being that big of a hit, but this was a remake of a movie from the 60s that Tim Burton directed.
Coraline.
Tim Roth is in it. Mark Wahlberg's in it. Tim Roth and Helena Bonham Carter are in it with a lot of prosthetics.
Was that the...
the Demon Barber.
Yeah, Edward Scissorhands.
No. The barber
Yeah, Sweeney
one.
Todd is what
Sweeney
you're thinking
Todd.
of. No. Planet of the Apes. Number 7 was a part 3. I also did not remember this did that well. It was a part 3 to one of the biggest hits of the 90s, if not the biggest hit of the 90s.
The biggest hit of the 90s. Speed
and it was
3.
also, the same director did the first 2 films, but a new director did this one.
X-Men: The Last Stand.
This would be Narnia.
Jurassic Park 3.
Okay.
Oh.
The only movie that isn't part of an IP, although it is based on actual events that happened in a war. It was directed by a man who it's Pearl Harbor. I don't even know how to
Perfect. That's exactly how you
Pearl
do this.
Harbor. That was a great clue, and I'm going to guess Pearl Harbor.
I'll stop there. So and then so we had those, and then number 5 was The Mummy Returns. I didn't realize that was that big of a hit.
Yeah.
That was great.
Rush Hour 2. I'm sad to say it was number 4.
I love that
and
movie.
then I still to this day because I'm not a Shrek fan, but Monsters Inc. was number 3, which means Shrek beat it by about 30 million, which was really irritating because Monsters Inc. is one of my all-time favorite films. But anyways, so the film, so as far as the video goes, I did ask Chris and Jeremy about this. Now I will ask Chris and Jeremy about these, but these movies typically are pretty old, so they don't remember, a ton. Mm-hmm. Chris did say though that he thought that we did this one after we did a few of the other ones. I don't know. I assume I found this website, the tvdb.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
TV database,
yeah, TV database. They have us listed. They have us broken up into seasons too, which is interesting. It
is interesting, yeah.
So, but according to that, this is the first Fast and Furious movie we did. The video was released on March 12th, 2014. Need for Speed was coming out that week, which nobody remembers because it didn't do that well. But at the time, it was kind of popped up because what's his name from Breaking Bad was in it.
Right, Aaron Paul was in that Need for Speed movie, yeah.
And we actually did a Days for Thunder. Everything wrong with Days for Thunder, Days of Thunder, Days for Thunder. Hey, here's some Days for Thunder, guys. Days of Thunder video also came out that week. And then so we did Days of Thunder and we did the Fast and the Furious to kind of lead up to Need for Speed. According to this, it was our 89th video. The current view count's a little over 4 million. And Chris said what he remembered was that a lot about how we send cell phone coverage because it was like 2001 and like Paul Walker's like using the phone like in the desert. And he mentioned it's one of those, he said, I didn't know if it was right or not, but he's like, it's one of those, sometimes we do just take a stab, like shooting bullets through ice could actually kill somebody.
Right.
He also said he thought it was weird that Paul Walker could commit a crime to strengthen his case as when they break into that one guy's shop to find evidence. I thought personally from the video itself, I thought it was funny that we had a These Pictures send with Jordana Brewster looking in the mirror because we just did something similar to that. So with, was that Dune where you guys did this pillow or something?
The table that's blocking.
The table, it was blocking, it was blocking Oscar Isaac's, Oscar Isaac's.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all watched the video as well, and picked out something to highlight. Danae, what did you want to highlight from this one?
I think it's always interesting, like watching our old stuff. Mm-hmm. Jeremy's delivery is different. We don't do subtitle lead-ins. There's they're more like pointing out observations, and we now take liberty with like creating stories. So, for example, there's a sin about. He asks where the bathroom is, and he's pointed upstairs, and the sin is like not having a bathroom on the first floor.
Right.
And I feel like that's it. Let me say this. I think the video could stand alone today just as easy.
That was
It
my
would just
thought
be
too. Yeah.
maybe the delivery would sound different because Jeremy inflects differently now. We might have a few more arrows now. We definitely would have subtitle lead-ins, but like legitimately a lot of the same stuff we could just re-release it with updated narration and it really wouldn't change that much, which was really interesting to kind of think about as I watched this, because I think when we're thinking about a segment like looking in the past and kind of looking at like what CinemaSins released, this time in history, I was thinking maybe there would be more that would stand out, like, oh, we would super do that different. But there really wasn't. Like, we feel like we've kind of had that consistent voice. But what I'm getting to is I think we add more story now. So my instinct on the bathroom sin was like, well, why is that first floor bathroom closed? What's happening in that room? And I feel like that's the kind of stuff that we would get into, like what's clogged? Why is it being used for storage? Who didn't pay the water bill? So like just we kind of take our time more sometimes and dig into the fun of it, which is one of the reasons why our videos are a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because they're not all just pointing out sin. It's like we take our time, I think, differently. And sometimes it's like the audience will react and say, oh, that's not actually a sin. That's just a silly story. But we are trying to also bring an element of entertainment and goofiness. And the sin still is, why doesn't the bathroom work on the first floor? But we take our time now and kind of play. So that's the one that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, I had the same thought of, how the rhythm has changed a little bit in that we have like long and shorts. Like we'll still do the occasional, bathroom, not having a bathroom on the first floor sin where it's just quick. But there's a rhythm to it that's kind of developed over the years of let's have one in depth. Let's have one, a real quickie. And that way, when you punch those like, this table, or whatever, like they hit different. And that was definitely something I noticed. Ian, what about you?
Pretty much exactly what Danae said. I think the video could really hold up today. We do kind of elaborate on a little bit more, but the funniest thing I noticed was that it's a Fast and Furious film, and we didn't have they survived this scene. I was waiting for it. I was like, it's going to be there somewhere. But yeah, I think it just shows how much the Fast and Furious films have changed. Definitely, the tone of this one is so different.
I thought this is pretty much what the look of the videos are now too, right? We changed the openings and stuff like that, but I mean the size of the bar, because that is different. Like when you watch those early ones, like the script is a little bigger, the bar, and I can't even remember if I feel like there's not a top bar or there's no bars.
There is
that right?
Yeah, well there's a bar on the top. Yeah, it looks a little bit different. Enough that because we review our stuff, I'm like, I want to make editor notes like instantly.
This one matched up though. This one I didn't notice a lot of subtitle issues or narration title issues, so that was cool.
Well, that was the thing I wanted to mention that I noticed the most while watching this is how much I miss lead-in subtitles. It's and that's just been a recent thing that we've done in the last year. Has it just been like the last year? I don't remember when we first started. It's pretty recent. Actually putting subtitles for the lead-ins, and I miss it so much. And I didn't know how much I wanted it or needed it before we started doing it. But yeah, that was the very first thing I noticed is like I want to be reading what they're saying as well as seeing what they're saying. It can help you
zero in on the joke as well.
It's interesting in that way.
Well, even now, I've said this before, most things I watch outside of work, even if I'm watching it by myself, I have subtitles up. Because I've just gotten so used to it, I think, and my hearing. I mean, I'm getting older. My hearing's not great, that kind of thing. And I just feel like it's interesting. I've learned this doing this job, reading subtitles, what you miss when you don't have them. Because there's, especially with dialects and, stuff like that, assuming the subtitles are done well. I don't know. So, yeah, I agree with you. I notice that more often now when I don't have subtitles for something.
Yep. Well, there you go. There's the Sinpository. If you would like to keep up with some older stuff in the CinemaSins universe, they do that every week in the newsletter, and you can sign up for the newsletter. Danae, again, how do they sign up for the CinemaSins newsletter?
Head to cinemasins.com and scroll down just a little bit. And then there's a big box that says get updates. You can put your email address in there. And the newsletter is a great way to keep up with stuff. Not only do we show you everything that came out across all of our channels that week, we also give links to all the podcasts, and we do merch updates. Right now we're doing an update about Jeremy's new book, When the Corn is Waist High, which you can pre-order right now. That comes out on the 19th. Yeah, it's getting some really fun feedback. People are throwing the book when it gets to the twist because they're so fucking flipped out, and it's really, really fun. So you can find out stuff like that on the newsletter.
Yeah, I hit him up on Slack that day, and I just said, when I read that, I immediately went to Slack and just said, fuck you, dude. You got me. And at first he was like, wait, what?
Like, what are we talking about?
Like, oh crap, I'm reading the book. Oh, okay, cool.
If you go to cinemasins.com, you also may have a pop-up when you go there that says sign up for the CinemaSins newsletter to make it super easy for you to do that. Again, that's cinemasins.com. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. Hang out with us on Twitter. We're at Aaron Dicer, at Witsend, at Danae Says,
DENEESAYS,
and at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Ian Whittington, Danae Hughes, a sexually aggressive bantha, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Hello, I'm British. Therefore, you want to have sex with me.
No, that happened one time. And I said, no, Mr. Garfield. This is not appropriate.
I love that Garfield, who's also English,
yes, he's the one that's
would be like,
most attractive.
oh, your sexy British accent, sir. Let us procreate. Oh, wait, what?
Wait,
what? What are we waiting? Tangled definitely has its fans. So if we're going underrated, do we mean underseen, underappreciated, or literally underrated by like critics?
I almost always ignore critics.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
Wait.
Make sure and hit that like and subscribe.
I'm not going to put this in the outtakes.
Ian, what are we doing here? Why am I recording if you're not putting anything in the outtakes?
It's just
Don't
fun.
you know everything we do is for an audience? Coffee talk.
Coffee talk in the morning. God.
Coffee talk is neither coffee nor talking. Discuss.
That must mean I'm disgusting.
Nice. Hamilton reference.
Mm-hmm. Well, Eminem first.
Will you get to the place already so I can I can put Jonathan in because he will have no reference.
I want to be in the room where it happens.
Yes,
is that what you're
please
saying?
get to the Zoom where it happens.
So what is it, like a 3-hour drive? Is that what you told me one time?
Yeah, about 3.5 actually from the airport. No, from Kansas City it is more like 3. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was thinking St. Louis.
It feels a lot longer when you just have Aaron on BeatStar the entire time.
Not the entire time. News for you on the BeatStar front, since you're kind of back into it and enjoying it and having a good time with it. I have every single song available to me now. I opened the rest of the songs, and when you do that, you get unlimited play because the boxes don't mean anything anymore. You don't need cards anymore because you have all the songs.
You don't. So you just play as much as you want.
Just play as much as you want.
Oh, this is terrible for you and your wife.
It is terrible.
This is so bad. Why would you stop? Why would you ever stop?
I'm just like, I may never be a productive human again. All right, Ian. Danae is here. Tell the story. Why were we a half hour later yesterday than we should have been getting back from the Critics' Choice Awards?
Ian got pulled over by the cops.
Were you driving on the wrong side of the road?
Yeah, I mean, that's the joke the cops made.
Does that take a second to get used to or no?
It took me, I would say, a day of actively thinking, don't go there. And then the only thing that still confuses me is your roundabouts, because it is so counterintuitive, because they so rarely pop up. When they do, I'm like, I'm definitely on the wrong side of this, and I don't know how to exit it. So I would just go round a lot until I feel confident enough to follow someone else.
So you were like, you're like European Vacation. Like, look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament.
All of the stereotypes, that's me, yeah. But on this occasion, I just decided to hurtle past the police car at an amount of hours over the speed limit.
I was telling Jen this story last night, and she was like, "Oh, it was an unmarked car." Then I was like, "Oh no, no. It was very well marked.
It was clearly a black Mustang or whatever it is,
with all sorts of antenna coming out of it. It was very clearly
had lights on the top that weren't turned on. So I just
do you just have to do you just have to pay it before you leave the country? Basically, is it
No. You have to listen to the whole story. Let's go. Come on. So there you were flying down the highway. And there's the quintessential movie police vehicle with the massive lights on the top underneath the billboard. You know, but not on the back side of it, on the front side of it, with a neon light saying this is a police officer, and you just
It's worse than that, Danae. It's worse than that. The police officer was driving on the expressway in front of us. He had
to overtake him.
He had minutes, and I'm just I'm not paying attention to how fast he's going.
Of course not. He's playing BeatStar.
I'm playing BeatStar or whatever, and I look up and I see we're coming up real fast on an obvious police car, and he just blows by it on the expressway. And I look over and I was like, when I saw the speedometer, it still said 80, 85. Ian says he had started to slow down by that point.
I was already on the brakes.
Oh my God. Did you actually hit the brakes as you passed him?
Oh, no, way past. I still didn't know until Aaron leant over and I was like, backseat driver, why are you looking at it? And like, how fast are you going? And I'm like, an amount of speed. I was like, you're going to get pulled over. And I still, at this point, did not know that there was a police car behind us. So I thought, oh, you know what? I will slow down. So I pulled over into the right lane, and then I see the car behind us, and I'm like, oh, he's not kidding. So he's like, I need to pee. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let's take the next exit. Of course, the car follows us off the exit and then puts the lights on. I'm like,
of course.
Oh, no.
How fast were you going?
An amount of speed. And so I look around, and I'm just like, there's no other cars here. He definitely wants me to pull over. So I did.
So here I'm just going to give my perspective here for a second. So here I am having to go to the bathroom very, very bad, within eyesight of walking distance from a gas station. And
I get so nervous.
And I look so paranoid and nervous because my leg's bumping up and down because I have to go to the bathroom so bad. And I know the police are noticing what's going on here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but he just says, do you know why we pulled you over? I was like, yeah, you came up on us pretty fast. I'm like, did I, officer? Yeah, no, sorry about that. Yeah, I was going quite fast. And we have a nice chat about England and how I like the weather in Kansas and what was it? How much is a stone in pounds?
That was the first thing he said when he found you were British was, what's up with the stone thing?
Yeah, I don't know. We do things old-fashioned and kilometers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they took my license away, disappeared for a little while.
Both of our licenses, by the way, because when they found out you were from the UK, then they're like, we need your license as well for whatever reasons.
In case mine's
Which
fake,
led to a wonderful thing when they came back. And the police officer goes, what are the chances you both have the same birthday? He was like, all of a sudden we were suspects because we had made fake licenses and just had given ourselves the exact same birthday or something.
I apologized profusely and they said, it's okay, we'll let you off. Just be careful in the future. I was like, yes, officer, I will. They go back to their car and we would have gone our own way had our car decided to start, which it did not. So we then had to very politely ask for a jump from the police.
Meanwhile, Aaron's about to pee himself.
Yes, to pee so bad the car won't start.
You can't write this stuff into a you can write it into a movie,
wouldn't
but
be
that's
believable.
I'm almost more irritated though they didn't give you a ticket. That just because I would never get out of a ticket. Never. I don't think I've ever.
I think there's a few reasons for this. I have some theories. All right, several theories, in fact, any one of which could be true. But I think the British thing is kind of the first thing. Just this is something different, something new.
No. It starts with the beard.
The beard was on point.
The British. There's also the sense of humor. You were very funny and gregarious right from the beginning. I think that lightened them up quite a bit.
I didn't feel it.
But here are my real theories. Number one, I bet there's a lot of...
Why did you just start with the joke? What do you mean?
Did. He literally did start with a joke.
Cool, blimey, governor. How fast was I going?
Said, the first thing they said was, what is a stone? And he says, the thing I'm going to hit my head with because of what I just did. That's the first thing he says to them is he makes a joke. My genuine theory is there's probably a lot of paperwork in giving a ticket to somebody outside of the country, and they just were not in the mood to do that. My second theory is they weren't They didn't have a gun on you. I don't mean a gun.
Wait, specify.
No, but they can pace you. They can still.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. But then they have to
defend it and
figure it out, as opposed to a radar gun, which has like an actual number. Because they weren't looking for somebody speeding. Somebody just blew past them going.
They weren't expecting anyone going 20 over the limit.
My guess is it was a little more nuisance than
I imagine
it was worth it for them. Would be my guess. But
hey, they got a nice chat with an English person. Aaron got to wet his pants and
it got to. I've been wanting to my whole life.
Reason. Yeah, that was fun.
We got.
I've gotten a good dozen speeding tickets in my lifetime. I'm pretty sure.
That's a lot.
I've gotten one.
I've never just blown past one on the interstate though.
See ya, buddies.
The worst thing I ever did right in front of a cop was back in the day. We used to all like get together and hang out in parking lots because there wasn't anything cool to do on the internet because there was no internet. And so my friend that I was with was like, hey, there's some people that are going to be hanging out over in like, I don't know, the Hardee's parking lot. It's probably like 10 o'clock at night. And we pull up and there's like this group of people gathering. Come to find out there was going to be a fight. And so they're all kind of like getting themselves amped up for this fight or whatever it's going to be. And this person that's in the car with me, one of her buddies comes over and is like, you probably don't want to be here because so-and-so is getting a baseball bat out of their trunk and it's just going to get gross and, you probably should leave. And we're like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And then all of a sudden, they're like screams start and there's this commotion. So I leave the parking lot a little too fast. I go out of the parking lot. I hit the road faster than I intend. And so when my front wheels hit the road, there was like a bump to kind of go down onto the road. It makes this squealing noise and I had to overcorrect. And I did that right in front of a police officer. So I come flying out of a fight, like, this whole thing.
She started it.
Immediately get pulled over, like immediate lights on. And the group that was there, she's like, oh my God, Danae, you just did that in front of all of my friends. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm getting pulled over. We were almost in the middle of a baseball bat fight. So I get pulled over and they come up to the car. And so I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was just really scared because of, that big fight back in the parking lot. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so I kind of sat there for a second and I thought, oh my God, he probably thinks I'm making this up. And then right on his shoulder, his radio goes off, dispatch, please, to the Hardee's on blah, blah, blah for a fight. And I'm like, that's it. That's the thing. He's like, okay, you guys have a good night. I've got more important things to do. And he like squealed back over to the parking lot. It was kind of crazy.
That's some great timing.
I just like if we skip certain parts of the story, we could say we got pulled over, got out of our vehicles, and got jumped by the police. I like.
Oh my gosh!
I like that is all true. That is all 100% true, and somehow still got away without any ticket. Yeah. So.
And I panicked a little bit because Aaron needed to pee, so we pulled over into the gas station. But I was following them because they also went in to get a donut or something. Yeah. And I was like, where do I park? And the first space was next to them. And I'm like, there's something really cheeky about parking next to the cop that just didn't give you a ticket. So I was like, no, I'm going to go that way.
Oh my God. It's like whenever you're together with someone awkwardly and you're like, okay, it was good to see you. Bye.
Yes,
and then you end up walking the same direction.
You both, the cop and I are both walking into this gas station at the same time. I'm like, can I buy you a coffee? Thanks. I love how we're at the end of the part where we just chatted, about outtakes and stuff. And we spent the entire time on your speeding ticket when you got a huge hug from Taika Waititi this weekend.
the top news this week, Ian doesn't get a ticket.
Right. Instead of, I met Will Smith, one of those things.
You would think the outtakes would be us talking about you guys in LA in the same room with Halle Berry during her incredible speech.
Yeah.
The people that you guys did rub elbows with, the after party, getting all dressed up.
I met some Kansas City cops.
Yeah, no, that's more important than the fact that Luke Cage grabbed your butt.
Yes.
That's.
I'm sorry, what?
I know the awards thing would not be my scene because I would be too scared. I'd be awkward or something. But
a bottle of red wine really helps.
One bottle, Ian.
Was that the first time you met Will Smith, Aaron? Or had you been around him before?
No. Wow. That was definitely my first.
Was he just as charismatic as you want him to be?
100%.
There's no way you can fake that. He was so funny. He's like, I will talk forever. You will love it.
I'm just saying. Best actor should get a little more time. I'm just saying.
Jason Ritter's Twitter account was fun that night too. Like I had fun. Like I would go on Twitter and he would pop up in my feed.
Yeah, we were hanging out with Jason. I told you that was Jason Ritter.
Yes.
Remember? And I was like, yeah. So we
so
were.
He was actually there. I got the impression he wasn't even there because he just kept tweeting stuff about Melanie.
No, he was absolutely there. Yeah.
Melanie is fantastic though.
Wait. Are Jason and Melanie together?
Yes. Oh, they've been together for a while. They might even be married.
No, they are married.
Oh, now it makes so much sense.
Now the making out makes sense.
Is that why he punched you?
Now it makes sense. They were very fun, and when I say they, I mean Melanie, because I didn't know that they were together at the time.
That showed.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have done so much flirting.
This was my favorite episode of the series.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
No one asked you.
Joining the show, Google.
All right, let's get into the show, guys.
Yes, please, because I got some work to do today, so I can't stay to play.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is the most Danae thing ever that in saying the phrase, let's get going, because I don't have time to play, she then plays for the next minute and a half.
It has a jazz improv.
That is Danae to a T.